I've learned during the years to control my emotions when people criticize my work, and understand that you have to be able to make the difference between critical, constructive criticism and just idiots. And thank you, Anan. Are you staying the stream royalty? Thank you so much for your super chat. You know, when you put yourself out there, right? And you get open for criticism, right? It is sometimes hard for you, depending on how you've been raised, what is your sign, what type of energy you have, right? And what type of energy you're trying to protect in your life. It might be sometimes very hard for you to keep it cool and to not take things personal all the time. So to give you an example, when I was 24, 25, or 26, I don't remember, 1998, and my first album came out, right? Yeah, listen, when you do an album, you do some new music, and you do it for not to receive the praise. You do it to express yourself and maybe to do a career in the music industry or as an artist, as a performer, do some shows. But in reality, it's a process, and you're learning all you're learning everything, right? You're learning to be on stage. You learn maybe you're good on stage already. Maybe you have a good aura and you got a good charisma and people love you already. But when you put out a body of work on a CD, and you sell 100,000 of them, and you start playing on the radio in other countries, other territories, other cities, and back in the days, the people that would give their opinions publicly would be the journalists. So it's very interesting because I went through the transition between being criticized by professionals, the journalists, to being criticized by anybody. And so the way it was back in the days, so when I released my first album, the record label, so it was a sub label of Sony, called Globe Music. So Globe Music would tell you to come Wednesday at 10 a.m. and to be free from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. And they would have a conference room in the record company, and you would be there, and journalists will come. So maybe you would have you and 5, 6, 7 journalists, or it would be interviews one by one, depending on the type of interview you would do. Maybe you would sit there with like 5 people, and then another 5 people would come, and then another 5, and then it would be just that one person from that one magazine that would want to do a 1-hour interview with you. And then after that, you would have 2 people, and then you have another 5, and you would have like a media day where you're doing like everything so that these people who had your album maybe a week before it comes out are asking you a few questions, and after that, hopefully they give a review of your album and they give you a note depending on the type of publication. They might tell you, hey, listen, 7 on 10, 8 on 10, and explain maybe they just do a little paragraph on your album, or maybe to do a full interview. And this is how people would discover your music. This is how the people reading, like I remember there was a magazine when I was in my 20s called Max. And when you had a review of your album in Max, oh, listen, then everybody would know about your music, and it would drive people to go try it, buy it, or just go listen to it at the store and maybe buy it. So I remember how it was, the media thing. And actually, I used to love it. I used to love these days because you get to express yourself, you get to explain what's behind your album, etc., etc. And back then, there was no YouTube, there was no Twitter, there was no. And listen, so people had the internet, but not a lot of people. It was like, I don't know, 100,000 people, 1 million people on the internet. Not like today when there's 2 billion people on the internet or 3 billion. Like at that time, the internet was really like maybe emails. In France, we still had Minitel, etc., etc. So whenever somebody had a good critic for you, and because it was a professional, a music critic, you would feel very happy because you knew it would drive your sales. And whenever somebody had a negative critic on your music or your project, you would be sad because you knew it could potentially kill your sales. And some people maybe would not go buy it. But lucky for me, first album, all the critics were amazing. All the interviews were great. And listen, the people interviewing me were as young as me, and we were just, they were asking great questions, and I've always been comfortable with these type of things. So as we were doing it, I guess there was no reason to really be emotional because these people, I don't know, maybe it's because of your record company, because you would have a PR team, and they would choose the right person. So listen, when I released my first album, of course, I had all the Zouk world music, West Indies, French West Indies, and maybe a little bit of R&B and hip hop publications. But they choose the right people, and then we started to broaden the scope to be like, okay, this is a world music album, and a magazine like Max, like VSD, like French magazines, and then a few publication from outside. Most of the time it would be done by email. You would reply to the question or on the phone, but it would be mostly French publications. So the question were more or less always the same. Oh, why do you sing in English? Oh, because I speak 5 languages. At that time I spoke 5. And what is the album about? What do you think of this? Etc., etc. And listen, I had amazing reviews from the album. I hope I could show you. I'll actually do a show where I read the old reviews of my album, because I still have a lot of the magazines and scans from that era. And I don't know if I have some of these scanned here, because I probably kept them in a folder somewhere, but right now I don't have no clue where I would have done this. Probably because my mom used to save these things for me, but I don't remember where I probably have them as files somewhere. I have to put them in my photo book. But anyway, so when the reviews would be released, you would just feel, when you read the reviews, right? When you read a nice review on your album, you would feel happy, especially if it's a magazine that you read, where you read the reviews of the latest Michael Jackson, the latest Lenny Kravitz, the latest Public Enemy album, and now Kaysha, you hear they're talking about your music in this place, right? You would feel, wow. See what I mean? So now, then the internet arrives. And when the internet arrives, there was this thing where everybody had the freedom to speak. And everybody had the freedom to give you their honest opinion on your work. And in a way, you would feel happy that the people who support your music, the people who buy your art, are able to give you their opinion. But it was all new back in the days. Today, it's a normal thing. Everybody's born into it. You put a photo on Instagram, whoever you are, you put a photo on Instagram, and then there's a comment section that is inviting people to give their opinion on your photo. They can tell you, wow, an amazing photo, or they can tell you, wow, you're ugly. And for everybody, it's kind of normal. But back in the days, for me, this was not something that was a normal thing. It was something that became strange at the time. So the first thing that stressed me out was it was a bulletin board. So it was like a kind of a forum, which call them forums, where you have like you go to a website and you have a lot of sections. It's like Discord today. You go to this website and you have intro, present yourself, news, discussions, albums, reviews, and then you would be this place where everybody can come and give their opinion. And when you say everybody, it's like, yeah, freedom of speech for everybody, but at the same time, it's freedom of speech for all the idiots as well, or for the people who are just idiots, or just want to be insulting because they didn't like a project, instead of not saying anything or saying, it was an interesting album, well tried, but I don't know, it's not for me. No, they would have to say, this is a piece of shit album, garbage, I waste my money, or glad for me I didn't buy it, somebody gave me a copy, this is a shit album, whatever. And all of a sudden, you would realize how it's different when you speak to professionals, and it's different when you speak to people that don't have any etiquette. Because listen, as a label owner and as somebody who launched careers of multiple artists, for every yes, there was probably 10 to 30 no's. There's a bunch of people who came in the Sushiro studios and to play a demo or to try to be signed to my label. And there's a lot of them that I said no to, or maybe I didn't have the time, or maybe they were not good. But as an artist, there's something that was very important for me, which was learning how to say no to somebody without hurting their feelings and without being disrespectful to their work. Because even if you're not good yet, or you're not good enough for me, or you are not the right fit for my label, or just you are talented, but I don't know what I'm going to do for you, because maybe the genre is not what we are good to work on, I would always try to not hurt people's feeling, and at the same time be truthful. So I would never say, the fuck is this, what are you doing here? I would be like, I think you have to work a little bit more, you have to work on your vocals, you have to do this, listen, try to work on these, come back in 6 months. And it's a diplomatic way of telling somebody that no, not right now. And it's funny that a lot of people would take it good, but then some people, they would be vexed that you don't like their song, and they would take it in an emotional way and be insulting or be like, yeah, who you think you are? And I would be like, I'm nobody. You just came to me for an opinion, or you came to me with a proposition to work for me, and yeah, I don't want to work with you, or you're not ready. And I remember some people, they really felt away because they thought that their product was amazing, and the fact that I didn't want to take their product was me being an asshole, when not at all. And but then somebody who's out there in the internet, or is here in the comment section or in the chat, can't say anything about you because they feel that, I don't know, you're not a human. And I remember the first time I went to the Vol Creole. It used to be a French West Indian website. And the first time I went there and I read the critics of my album, the opinions, that's when I discovered how the future of the internet, the problem of letting everybody speak, is that you're gonna let everybody speak. The intelligent people, the people who have a little bit of tact, and then all the idiots. And you discover very early that there's more idiots than intelligent people. And it's interesting, when you are an artist, you are so, I wouldn't say emotional, but you're so sensitive about your work. It's something I learned to work on. You're sensitive about what you put out there, right? Because you believe it's a piece of yourself. That if there's 10,000 good critics, you're gonna focus on the 2 or 3 that are negative, and for the wrong reasons. Because you're gonna focus on the negative things from anybody's, when, yeah, you should focus when somebody that has a voice, that is powerful, a journalist, somebody who has a website, says, yeah, I don't like this, or you've been lazy here. And the person that can give you a constructive criticism, and the person that is rooting for you and giving you this opinion for you to be better and not just to bash you, but then you will just focus on anybody saying anything negative. And I remember the first time I saw some negative comments about my music, yo, I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, damn, and you want to stop making music. You were like, ah. And then you learn to shield yourself. You learn to, and it's an ongoing process.